Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
Step into the sand.
This is Macabre Grimoire with Ari Show, Travis Nye, and Robert Melee.
So, hey everybody, welcome to Macabre Grimoire, Chapter 3. And today we're talking about dream interpretation. Or dreams, right?
Cue the Cranberries music. Oh, what's that? We don't have a fortune for music royalties?
No, we don't.
Oh.
I don't even know the song. How does it even go? Oh. Yep, that's it.
All my life is taking every day.
Yes, that's it.
Every possible way. Wow.
That was really good.
Thank you.
I can hear the accent. You did a really good job.
Thank you.
So, I think everybody... you want to get into your stuff first, and then
Sure.
we'll go into...
I'll if nobody objects, I'm going to jump right into just a little bit of background for everybody before we get into the actual dream interpretation here. Dream interpretation is the process of assigning meaning to dreams. In many ancient societies, such as those of Egypt and Greece, dreaming was considered a supernatural communication or a means to divine intervention, whose message could be interpreted by people with these associated spiritual powers. In modern times, various schools of psychology and neurobiology have offered theories about the meaning and purpose of dreams. Most people currently appear to interpret dream content according to Freudian theory of dreams. This is based on a study conducted in the United States, India, and South Korea. It's amazing Freud's influence, like, that far out. But, I mean, yeah, it's like he's the foundation of, like, all psychology, so I guess that makes sense. And he spent a lot of time on dreams, so... Let's see. One of the earliest written examples of dream interpretation comes from the Babylonian Epic of Gilgamesh, which, as I might have referenced before, is like one of the oldest human stories that we have that made it to the modern times. Gilgamesh dreamt that an axe fell from the sky. People gathered around it in admiration and worship. Gilgamesh threw the axe in front of his mother, and then he embraced it like a wife. His mother, Ninsun, interpreted the dream. She said that someone powerful would soon appear. Gilgamesh would struggle with him and try to overpower him, but he would not succeed. Eventually, they would become close friends and accomplish great things. She added that you embraced him like a wife means that he will never forsake you. Thus, the dream is solved. And if you know the Epic of Gilgamesh, they're talking about Enkidu, his, like, best friend, like, those two are like Batman and Superman, where it's like they're gonna, like, fight at first and then they come together and they're, like, basically the Batman and Superman of Babylonia.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it's clearly a reference to Enkidu.
Sounds like the foundation to most of my friendships.
Is that you
We fight it out, we see who the better man is, and then we're cool.
Does it usually involve as many temple prostitutes as the
Six.
Gilgamesh?
6 on average.
Okay.
Seventh day we had to rest.
Oh, well played. Well played, sir. Speaking of, in ancient Egypt, priests acted as dream interpreters. Hieroglyphics depicting dreams and their interpretations are evident. Dreams are held in considerable importance throughout history by most cultures. Getting a little bit into the science of dreams, dreams can occur at any time during sleep, but the most vivid dreams occur during REM or rapid eye movement sleep, when the brain is most active. Some experts say that we dream at least 4 to 6 times per night.
I have heard that.
Studies have shown the importance of dreams to our health and our well-being. In one study, researchers woke subjects up just as they were drifting off into REM sleep. They found that those who were not allowed to dream, which, Jesus Christ, who planned that experiment?
Assholes.
It sounds like the beginning of a creepy pasta. It's like, we'll take away their dreams. It's like, it's found on a blood-stained cassette tape in a, like, flaming hole in the ground that was the laboratory.
Right, yeah.
And interpreted in reverse.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it sounds like a creepy pasta, but in these actual studies, here's what they found. Not being able to dream causes increased tension, anxiety, depression, difficulty concentrating, lack of coordination, weight gain, and the fun one, a tendency to hallucinate. Because this immediately makes me think of the episode of Star Trek The Next Generation way back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Where they all get infected with something that makes it so that they can't dream. So all through the episode, they keep... I mean, it was like super creepy, like waking dreams because they were having hallucinations. Like the worst one was they had picked it up from doing this like recovery operation where like a whole bunch of colonists had died. Mm-hmm. So she's in this hangar with all these bodies covered in blankets, and she just like looks up from the one that she's working with or whatever, and they're still covered, but they're all sitting up, like all of them. I probably saw that when I was like 10, was when that aired, and that scared the shit out of me, like royally. And that was Star Trek, which is like a G TV show,
yes!
You know?
Oh my gosh.
But they ended up figuring out that was the cause, was that none of them could dream. They couldn't reach REM sleep, and so they were all slowly going insane. It was causing like accidents all over the ship and hallucinations.
That's awesome.
Let's see. Many experts say that dreams exist to help solve problems in our lives, incorporate memories, process emotions, and they help you. If you go to bed with a troubled thought, you may wake with a solution or at least feel better about the situation. Now, going back to what Freud said about dreams, he believed that dreams reveal people's unconscious desires, their hidden thoughts, and motivations. Basically, he talked like they were an expression of all the stuff that you want to do, what you really want to do, but can't because society won't let you.
Oh, sure. God, I wish.
Yeah. I was going to say, my dreams are clearly not that unless apparently I want to like explore like really creepy shit in real life.
Yeah.
Well, I do host a podcast that's about creepy shit, so maybe.
Yeah.
The dreams foretold it. Mind blown.
That's awesome.
And that's all I've got.
That's all you got. So, I guess when I was doing my psychology degree, the consensus was about dreaming is that it's basically just your brain filtering out, you know, the crap that you go throughout the day. And there's evidence of that, and like I've seen it in like my own dreams of like, okay, that's what this is, but why did it filter it that way? Like, what is wrong with my filter that it has to be, you know, sorted out? But then there's also those dreams that just like, it fucks you up. I mean, there's really there's no other way to describe it except that you wake up and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, do I need to commit myself? Like, what is this? I've had dreams where like I was almost like a vampire and actually like drinking people's blood, and I have no interest in vampires. I didn't follow the stupid Twilight series. I mean, the closest thing I got to vampires was probably watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Nice. But at this point in time, I wasn't watching it, and I hadn't even watched it at that point. So I'm just like, I had no reference for this, and it's just like, okay, filter, what's wrong? Like, what is going on here? But then there's other stuff too where you get like visitation dreams, you know, and
what's a visitation dream?
So visitation dreams are when a loved one who is crossed over will visit you in a dream, and these dreams are
creepy.
Well, yes and no. So it depends on the content of the dream, because sometimes it isn't them, but then the other times it really is them, and you'll know that it's a visitation dream because it'll feel very real. You'll be able to have an actual conversation. Like, you'll be able to ask the questions that you want to ask and have the conversation that you want to have. It'll feel like them. It'll smell like them. It'll like just envelop almost like your whole senses. I had my first visitation dream when I was 18. My great-grandfather had passed away, and my parents were going through like a rough divorce, so I was and it was my senior year of high school, so I had like a bunch of stress already going on in my life. Well, I had been crying myself to sleep for I don't know how many nights in a row, and I was just very upset about the loss of my great-grandfather. It's the first person that I was close to that had actually passed. So I have this dream with him in it where I get up from my bed in my bedroom, and I walk into the living room, and he's laying down on the couch almost like it's a simulated funeral home all over again, which kind of creeped me out. And I was like, what is this? And I'm just like, and he just goes, "Oh, hey, Ari, how's it going?" I'm like, "Is this real?" And he goes, "Yeah, this is real." So I'm like, "Well, you're dead though, but where are you right now?" And he's just like, "Well, it's a little difficult to say where I'm at right now. And I just have a lot of things that I need to work through. But I just want you to know that you don't have to be so sad about me all the time. Like, it's okay. You can move on." And I'm like, "But I really miss you and I don't know what to do." And he's like, "Don't worry about it. Just try, just focus on happier things and you'll start to feel better." And so I was like, okay. And I tried to get more information from him about like where exactly it was he, because I'm like, I thought for sure he'd be like heaven or purgatory or something like that,
Were you
Yeah.
lucid dreaming? I mean, did you know you were dreaming?
Oh yeah, like I knew
Okay.
I was dreaming during this, and he was just like, well, he was just very vague, and I couldn't get an answer out of him, so I was eventually he just kind of dropped the issue, and then he was like, "Well, it's time to go now." So I'm like, okay, well, I love you, and then I woke up immediately, and my entire bedroom smelled like him. I mean, super strong smell where I was just like, what is, I mean, like I don't have anything of his in my room.
Sure.
So it was just like, I even like went out, like I tried to like figure out like, where is this smell coming from? Because it was so intense. And then I was able to go back to sleep. Well, so obviously I was going to Catholic school. Not obviously to the listeners, but I went to Catholic school at the time. And I was working in the school office as one of the like assistant secretaries. And so the priests and the teachers would all filter in through the office throughout the 8th period. And one day our school priest came into the office and I was like, "Hey, I have to ask you this question," because I didn't know who else to go to. I mean, if you have something weird like that where your dead great-grandfather talks to you, who do you go to? If you're Catholic, you go to your priest.
Yeah.
You try to figure it out. And so I asked him about it, and he was just like, "Oh, that's just a dream. That's no big deal." I'm just like, fuck you, dude. Like, come on. I just had like this epic moment, and you're just like, it's just dream bullshit. Like, no, this was like he didn't even give me the time of day. Like, it was literally like a 2-minute conversation, and he was just like, it's.
That's a little jaded.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm like, really? Like, come on.
Now, if you excuse me, I have to go perform this ritual for the Sky Man.
Yeah.
It's like.
I was just like, I was like, oh God. So I talked to a bunch of other people, and just kind of talking with more people at the age of 18 and 19. I found out that people do have visitation dreams. And then I kind of did a little bit more research into it, and it's like, no, what I had was a genuine experience that I did visit my great-grandfather. Obviously, it wasn't fully the experience I wanted, but it was as best as it could happen. So visitation dreams I've only ever had 2 that I know of. That one, and then I had another one. So
Wow.
So yeah, it doesn't happen 3. Sorry.
Jeez. Okay.
Sorry.
So I just talk to these people all the time in my dreams.
Yeah, this is a nightly thing. We get together.
It's basically like a committee that meets like
Yes.
every Wednesday. And we talk about what I'm up to.
No, I like the frequency of which I have these are very far apart. But now I'm probably gonna have like a
Do
million.
you have a fantasy football league with your dead relatives in the dream?
I should.
You say you should?
I should. Yeah. But I was doing reading about this, and there's this book that I read called The Journey of Our Souls, and then there's another book called Destiny of Our Souls. It's both written by Dr. Michael Newton, who's a psychologist, and he was doing past life regression on his patients, and he accidentally regressed somebody to a soul level. And so this is just the premise of his book. So he by regressing people to their soul level, he was able to find out more information and be able to help them heal, like, old injuries and whatever, depression, anxiety, like, I don't know, organ issues, like basically things that had happened to them in past lives that now have translated into current life. So it's it's a very fascinating read, and they're all case studies. So it's not just like some frou-frou medium, like, being like, oh, I regressed people, and this is what I found. This is somebody who's a man of science saying, like, look, I was just trying to help people relax, and then all of a sudden they start talking about a past life, and I'm all like, what? So then I started, doing past life regressions because I was having positive results, and if it's not going to hurt anybody, I might as well continue doing it. And then I accidentally regressed somebody to a soul level, and now I don't know what to do with this stuff, but I guess I'm just going to make a book. So that's a long story.
Can you explain what that means, regress someone to a soul level? Because as a noob, I'm just totally like,
oh,
I feel like you just like slightly kill them and then bring them back.
I'm just like, does he still have his memories?
So we all we're all spirit. We all have our own soul, and our souls have had many lives. And so when you do a past life regression on somebody, you're taking them back to a previous lifetime, like when they lived. Well, what happens is you have in between time between when you're soul A to when you're soul B.
So there's a celestial break room where you just you go get like a
Yes.
yogurt or something and then come back?
Yeah, it's like what happens in that in between time when you're not soul A or soul B, you're actually you're a soul and you're somewhere in between. And people call it heaven, people call it whatever you want to call it. So there's this whole soul realm, and that's kind of where you go to meet with your soul group. You figure out who you're gonna be in your next life. You're gonna be male, female. If you're going to,
I have a soul group.
yeah, you have a soul group. Everybody has soul
Me and you were
groups.
soul brothers.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like this.
So
I'm down with that.
Yeah. So,
A little funky.
So everybody has a soul group. Everybody has soul mates. It's not just it's like people say soulmates are like the person that you're supposed to marry, but it's actually you have multiple soulmates where it's not just like the person that you marry. It's also the person that like you're friends with, or that you're siblings with, or mother, father, whatever. The point of this is that in doing these soul regressions, he found out that for a dream visitation to happen, all of these elements have to be lined up just right. Like your stage of sleep has to be just right, and the soul, like your vibration has to be at just the right level. So that's why it's not like an everyday occurrence or an every night occurrence for you to be able to have a visitation dream that's profound whatever meaning to you. So so that's kind of a deep dive into
Sure.
into all of that.
But no, that's a part of dreaming. The visitation dream. I mean, I've heard of people seeing dead people in their dreams.
Sure.
But I didn't know there was a whole thing and theory around it and stuff like that.
Right. And I do want to just make sure that listeners know that if you're thinking I had a visitation dream once, but it really scared the shit out of me. If it doesn't come from a place of love, and if it doesn't come from a place of meaningfulness to you, then it's not a visitation dream. If you have a loved one that came back to you and they're bleeding and screaming and crying, that is not a visitation dream. That is a nightmare, and that's not them. So I just want to make that clear. Because I have had clients come to me and say, oh, but my loved one, he was still hurt and he looked mangled. It's no. On the other side, they are healthy, they are whole, sometimes they're younger, sometimes they're fitter. It just, depends on, what they had to deal with in their current life. So, anyways, that's that. Sorry.
No. No, we're learning.
5.
Yes. I didn't realize I know so much about it. So... yeah, and then then you have prophetic dreams, and you have epic.
Okay, I'm gonna keep doing this. Prophetic
That's
dream.
fine.
Does that
Prophetic for
specifically
200?
mean you have a dream about something that hasn't happened yet?
Yes.
Okay.
So prophetic dreams is exactly that. It's you're dreaming about something that hasn't happened yet. It predicts something that's to come. I would have prophetic dreams constantly when I was a kid, and they were just bullshit ones because I was a kid, because I really wasn't leading a very impactful life. I would dream about things that were going to happen the next day at school, or sometimes I would have them as I was awake and on the playground, and I'd just be standing there, and my vision would go away, and I would see this scene unfold before my eyes, and then I would come back, and then then it would happen a few minutes later, or sometimes days later, it just depended. So those are prophetic dreams, and then
I think I had a few of those when I was little.
Yeah?
And just I don't know what was going on, but I remember being at this one hospital, and and we were like waiting in the car for mom or whatever. Because when I was a kid, it was a common thing that mom was always taking grandma to dialysis, and when we were little, we just rode along with for that.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, he's a trip to Huron for dialysis. That was the Wednesday Tuesday thing, you know, or the Tuesday Thursday or whatever it was.
Sure.
And so I was like laying in the back seat, but looking up out through the window, and there was like a very distinct airplane going overhead. And so maybe this is more deja vu, but I could swear that angle, looking up, seeing that airplane travel through that window, I could have sworn that like I had dreamed that before. Mm-hmm. Like I'd seen that exact same airplane in that exact same spot, and that I was laying down in the back of the car in this parking lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah. So I'm not sure if that's deja vu or if that's because I didn't remember the specific dream at the time, but I could have sworn that's where I'd seen it before.
Right. Yeah. That probably might have been deja vu, but I had instances where I had deja vu so often that I was so sure I had dreamt it. So I started recording down my dreams because I needed to prove to my parents that no, this was a dream that I had, and this is how I know. And I kept my own record, but I never actually got, because like when it happens, you don't have your dream journal with you.
Yeah.
During the moment, because you don't know when it's going to happen. So, but I was able to prove to myself that, okay, I'm not crazy. I am actually dreaming these prophetic dreams. And so, but like even deja vu, like, I don't know, like I do think that people do have deja vu, but I also feel like people do have prophetic dreams that are very much deja vu-ish moments.
So we've talked about prophetic dreams. We've talked about visitation dreams. Are there any other classifications of dream we should know about?
I think prophetic dreams. There's also
awful quiet over there, Travis.
I'm taking it all in.
Have you
heard of these
Are you beyond dreams?
Not really. It's been so long since I remember ever having a dream.
Oh wow.
Really?
Yeah, like I don't think I sleep enough to have a dream.
Do you have kids?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
I'm just like not a care in the
Your
world.
sleep cycle is just totally shot right now.
You are.
Yeah.
You're just totally and completely shot. Yeah. There's also let me look up here, dream classification. There's also there's nightmares, which I think we've all kind of had. There's what else is there? People have talked about, sleep paralysis, but that's a completely different thing, which I think we want to cover in a different topic.
Yeah, that'll be its own episode when we get to that.
Right. Recurring dreams, which is pretty self-explanatory. I have a hilarious one. When I was in high school, I was really paranoid about, French kissing. So I would have one about Billy Corgan French kissing me, and it was, it happened so often where I was just like, ugh! I knew the moment too when he was gonna kiss me. I was like, no, gross, ugh! And then he would, and I was like, no. So yeah, that was the weirdest recurring dream I ever had. Healing dreams, signal dreams. So signal dreams help you how to solve problems or make decisions in your waking life. I don't think I've ever had those. Oh, epic dreams. Holy crap. I had an epic dream once that I want to make into a movie because it was just epic. Yes.
Yeah. So epic as in you lead an army on a distant planet to son of a bit. I am getting screwed over in the dream department.
They are. Okay, so this definition here is epic dreams, also referred to as great dreams, cosmic dreams, or numinous dreams, are so huge, so compelling, and so vivid that you cannot ignore them. The details of such dreams remain with you for years as if you just dreamt it last night. Oh, I guess I've had a couple of these.
Yeah, I guess I have.
Yeah, these dreams possess much beauty and contain many archetypal symbology. When you wake up from such a dream, you feel that you have discovered something profound or amazing about yourself or about the world. It feels like a life-changing experience. Yeah, well, I wouldn't know about life-changing experience, but it definitely was damn,
It's one of those dreams that you drive everyone you know nuts with because you keep talking about it, and it's so hard to talk to other people about dreams because no one,
right.
Generally, unless it's something cool or creepy or where this specific conversation about dreams, then it's that's okay, whatever. It's I can't go to work on Monday and be like, oh, Pat, you gotta hear about this dream I had. No,
That's pretty much everybody's honest response.
Not me on the opposite. I'm like, oh yeah, what was it? Get it out. I want to hear it. There's progressive dreams, where dreams occur when you have a sequence of dreams that continue over a period of nights. I've had this. The dream continues where you left off on the previous night. And such dreams are problem-solving dreams and help explore different options and various approaches to a problem or situation.
So your dream is as like serial storytelling?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Mutual dreams. This happened between myself and my brother. Mutual dreams are described when two people have the same dream. Mutual dreams may be planned, meaning that two people actively work towards achieving one dream or scenario or goal. It is a way to improve communication and build trust. Basically, you're just both dreaming at the same time or dreaming the same dream. My little brother and I, we both dreamt that, like, he was driving, like, basically he was driving a car. He was, like, 8 years old at the time, so he wasn't really driving a car. It was just his dream. And he said that there was a traffic cop standing in the middle of the road directing traffic. And I was like, that is so weird. I had a dream that I was a traffic cop. Like, I was just like, and I thought I saw you in like one of the cars. And I'm like, did you wave at me? He's like, I don't know. I think so. Like,
nice.
How do you not know?
Yeah. There's like, morning conversations as you're brushing your teeth before you go to school. So, yeah. So yeah, those are false awakening dreams. Have you ever had those?
No.
Oh my God, I have. They fuck you up. I dreamt this one dream. Okay, so this one epic dream that I had. I wanted to go to. Okay, I'm a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan. Yeah, if I haven't already made that pretty clear by the Billy Corgan reference earlier.
I know who that was, so that clarifies it.
There you go.
Yep.
There.
Okay.
Now we're on the same page.
I'm like, did she just name people she goes to school with, thinking I know?
See, yeah, I thought it was some kid she went to school with,
Oh,
too.
Jesus Christ. Oh, no. I'm a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan. Anyways, that's besides the point. So, in my dream, I was at somebody's house. It was like this old farmhouse, and we're basically having a family gathering, and I'm playing with the kids and babysitting them because that's what I always did. And then eventually we had to like pack up and go home, so I went home, and then somebody mentioned to me like, oh hey Ari, you going to that 24-hour Smashing Pumpkins concert? And I was like, what? I didn't even know about that. They're like, well, you better get tickets. So I was like, well, I don't even know how I'm supposed to get tickets. So because I didn't have any. So then I went home, and I was like stressing out about it. And then I went to bed, and then I woke up the next morning in my dream, and I was like, how am I going to get these tickets? So I ended up going to this little store on the corner, and there was this contest that they were having that you could win tickets. And so I bought up, I don't know, like so many sodas or whatever to like win these tickets. I don't know. I had to buy something to like win a ticket, and I ended up winning a ticket. So, but the concert wasn't until like the next day. So again, went to bed, woke up on third day in Dream World, and showed up to this concert like way early before everybody else did, because I wanted to make sure that I had ample time to like get to my seat, et cetera, et cetera. And I was able to like meet the band and meet a bunch of fans and like go backstage because I was so stupidly early for this concert. And then I was able to enjoy this full long concert, and that was my dream, and that has always stuck with me, just like because it was so bizarre that I even like went through the motions of like waking up, getting dressed, brushing my teeth, like having a full day almost in Dream World. So yeah,
I'd like
Wild.
to see that translated to real time.
yeah, right. Yes, me too. Like it was probably like 20 seconds. Like,
Right. Done.
I have like this epic, moment. And
It always blows my mind when I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's like 4:10. I don't want to be awake for at least another hour. So
Yes.
I go back to sleep, and I have a dream where I swear I was in it for like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
And you wake up, it's been like 10 minutes.
yeah, and it's only been 10 minutes. And it's like, son of a...
in those instances, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
more sleep time.
The only problem is with that is that, that would normally be my reaction, except it's usually not a restful dream. So it's
Right.
usually like, okay, so now I have 40 minutes if I can fall back asleep to recover from the week-long running from whatever, or blowing the Death Star up, or whatever I did in that dream.
I mean, doing a week in 10 minutes, it wears you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does.
That's pretty impressive. A week, huh? So, and then they also kind of count daydreams in the category of dreaming, which I do all the time. Like I don't need a dream dictionary to tell me that. But so then you wanted to talk about your dreams, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Travis, do you want to dig into some of your dreams?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm anxious about this one.
Okay.
Oh!
Ooh.
Because it kind of
Pull up a
goes
seat.
on...
Yep.
Like, all right, get the popcorn. Here we go. So it kind of goes on with the idea of what you talked about, like the epic dream.
Yeah.
But it's not, like, epic. But to me, it feels that way.
Okay.
Because, like, it's stuck with me my entire life. And, like, it's, like, every, like, week or so, like, I think about it. I'm like, what does that mean? But I haven't had it for a while. But it was, like, almost every week I had this same exact dream.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to explain the dream is you gotta imagine, like, watching it on TV, like, through the lens of a camera.
Sure.
Okay. So it's just infinite white.
Mm-hmm.
You see nothing but white with a single little dot in dead center, black dot.
Okay.
The camera lens would zoom in on it, so the dot would get a little bit bigger.
Yep.
And then it would start to trail to the right, making a line.
Mm-hmm.
But the tail would go longer, so it's like playing Snake almost.
Yep.
So the dot would stay dead center, making a line going to the left. And it would start to pull back, so the line would get thinner.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, like, it'd feel like comfort and peaceful, you know, like, oh, this is nice. It's just a smooth, straight line. Then all of a sudden, it'd go, like, massively rapid squiggles and scratches and everything else all over the place until, like, I got, like, a claustrophobic feeling.
Oh.
And it would start to, like, zoom in on this whole cluster of stuff to where, like, I almost, like, felt trapped in this whole mess of clustered lines.
Yeah.
And when it pulled back out, like, it pulled out far enough to where, like, I could see the grouping of it. But it was, like, right in between, like, black, almost sketched eyes looking at me.
Oh, weird. So it's almost like you're following, like, an Etch-a-Sketch.
Exactly.
See how I did that? Sorry.
And that's pretty much, like, where the dream ends. Like, every time. Like, it's just, like, this is your life, smooth and nice and clean, and go crazy and sporadic, pull back, and then there's just eyes watching it.
So when you look at the eyes, do you get a sense of, like, if the eyes belong to, like, a man or a woman or an
I'd say
animal?
they're, like, manly eyes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's like a very just rough sketch, like, silhouetted eyes.
Sure. So it's not even, like, really much definition, almost more like cartoonish eyes.
Yeah.
Do you feel, like, what are your feelings, like, when you see the eyes? Like personal feelings. Like, are you scared? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you anxious? Are you, like, what do you kind of get, like, when you see the eyes?
It's almost, like, just completely neutral for the most part. So
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't know you were there. And that's it. Like, there's eyes.
Yeah?
Because I'm more focused on, like, the squiggly, chaotic part of it that has
So-
me, like, forgotten.
Right.
Like, that, like, the chaos of the lines just stuck with me for so long. I was like, I don't care about anything else.
Like, do you feel like maybe sometimes, like, things going on in your life at that time, or maybe, like, what's going on, like, maybe your things in your life kind of chaotic?
You know, it's crazy. Like, I couldn't even put, like, a timeline as to
Yeah.
when I had these dreams, like, even the age anymore.
Sure.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Just because, like, for me,
I'd say early teens.
yeah,
Probably.
because I started having dreams about snow whenever I was going through, like, a really emotional time. Like, sometimes it'd be thick snow, sometimes it'd be light snow, but, like, if there's any, like, type of emotion or stress going on, I dream about snow. So maybe, like, the line for you is, like, when things are kind of out of control, maybe it's telling you to, like, focus.
Right.
But at the same, because, I mean, if it feels peaceful at the beginning and then the line just kind of goes crazy and you're just like, what is happening? And then all of a sudden you zoom out and you're like, oh, it's an eye. What? But maybe it's like, just focus on the eye, dumbass, you know? I don't know.
Oh, made it personal. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, or maybe it's not. I mean, maybe it's, because you have to think about, like, how do you feel about the color white? How do you feel about the color black? How do you feel about Etch-a-Sketch? You know? Because that's essentially what's kind
and
of...
the tell, and then... No.
You know, I mean, like, how do you feel about all of those things? And then think about, like, does the eye look, is it like an older person's eye or a younger person's eye, you know? Like, what are, I mean, I'm asking.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're just so basic.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to
kind of like pinpoint it. But like, if you were to guess, like if you were to like
kind of like if you were to see eyes in like an ink blotter Rorschach test.
Oh,
like that vague. Like,
just super super vague.
Them see eyes.
That's
it.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on how you like personally feel about eyes in general. Other than maybe it's just slow down and focus.
Yeah.
Because I mean, are you tend to be like hyperactive?
Not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very.
But you're very creative though too, because you try to think of like different things for like your shows and like how you do stuff. So there's probably some creativity there that's trying to zone in on something. I don't know.
No, like a perfect day for me is just sitting in a dark room doing nothing.
So sleeping?
No. I like thinking. I like just sitting and thinking.
Yeah.
That's
and you can't remember the last time you had, these were just dreams, like a series of dreams you had when you were a teenager.
And I remember, I mean, I've probably had like that one dream like 30 or 40 times.
Jesus.
Like, I mean, it was just
Can you draw the eye because you've seen it so much?
Probably. Like, I could probably come pretty close.
Like,
I'm not an artist at all.
Well, no, but...
I mean, I could probably Google, like, eyes and find something that would be very...
You'd be surprised, man. I've been trying to find this bracelet online, and I cannot find it. I have a very specific vision in my head. I did not check eBay yet. No, I should check eBay. I was trying to see if I have any paper in my purse. I don't, but... Or, you got paper.
I sure do.
He even has a notepad.
Look at that guy.
Jesus, you are
like
so good, Rob.
Here or something.
So draw a picture of the eye.
Okay.
Because usually, for the reason why I was trying to like ask about the different elements of the dream, because there was this girl who described her dream to me, and she said that there was this really old guy that sat down on her bed and kind of like leered at her, and she was like, "Oh my god, it was the scariest dream I ever saw," and I was just like, but it didn't feel like it was just because of how she described the elements of the dream. I'm like, well, what did the old man look like? And she kind of described him. I'm like, but why do you think he was sitting on your bed? And she kind of thought about it and said like why she thought he was there. I'm like, do you think that you have a fear of getting old? And she's like, holy shit. So I mean, it was literally just that simple. Whereas like in this case, it's like maybe it's just a focus thing. Maybe it's like maybe you have like undiagnosed ADD or maybe you're not. I don't know. Maybe you're like ADD tendencies where you tend to like be all over the place.
That's very possible.
I mean, and maybe I'm not even going to hit on, I mean, I'm not here to like full on like give you a full interpretation of it.
No, I need a full psychiatric exam.
Yeah, we need to get out the electrodes.
I need to know what happened.
Because that's like, it's almost like you're dreaming in Flatland. Have you... Yes?
Like Mario?
Well... Yeah, but it's like Flatland. Oh, God, it was a reference on Big Bang Theory. Let me look. God damn. Didn't think we were going to get into Flatland. I'm not prepared for this. It's a book by Edwin Abbott. That's weird. It says Flatland, A Romance of Many Dimensions, is a satirical novella by English schoolmaster Edwin Abbott, first published in 1884. Let's see. What? It's basically like shapes interacting with each other, and it's just on like a flat piece of paper, kind of, I guess. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Yeah, it's very abstract, I think. It's like the masterpiece of science and mathematical fiction is delightfully unique and highly entertaining satire that has charmed readers for more than 100 years. The work of English clergyman, basically Edwin, describes the journeys of A Square, a mathematician and resident of the two-dimensional Flatland, where women thin straight lines are the lowliest of shapes, and where men, this is so small to read, where men have any number of sides depending on their social status. So, it says that through strange occurrences that bring him into contact with a host of geometric forms, Square has adventures in space land, 3 dimensions, line land, 1 dimension, and point land, no dimension. So, I kind of would have thought.
Combine these eyes
Yeah.
with those eyes.
So, like, they have some sort of definition, but not a lot of definition.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very obvious that it's that kind of a look.
Right.
Like, yeah, but very vague, like just the outline.
Like a sketch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Like if I did it with a fat marker.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. You're weird.
It's weird things,
I know.
man.
No. We need to call a doctor.
That's what I was hoping to find out here.
Aw.
Well, at least you're amongst friends, right?
That's true. I hope everybody listening is my friend.
Yeah.
Just heard my deepest, darkest dream
Yeah.
Yeah.
reoccurring.
That's very interesting. So, you.
I'm trying to figure out which one I want to describe.
Oh, I just described like 7 of my weirdest ones. So,
Yeah.
like, making out with Billy Corgan. Come on.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where to start. Okay.
You went to school with the guy from Smashing Pumpkins?
Jesus Christ. Yes.
Nice. Well played, sir.
Good job.
So I have a recurring dream, and I don't know if it's like recurring exactly, but it's just a super, super common theme, but the settings can be very different in the environment and stuff. But they all have in common that I'm always having this dream where I am moving into like a new house or a new apartment or something like that. And it's always super old and run down, but the like floors that I am going to live on, the first and second floor, are pretty nice. That's why I'm putting up with it. Mm-hmm. But up above, it just keeps going up and up and up forever, and each floor is a little crappier, like older and run down.
Yeah.
And they're super haunted. Like all of those like floors are like crazy haunted, and there's like no way to know. Like no one knows basically how high it goes. Because I never make it past like 5 or 6 levels before I'm like I'm coming back down, or there's nothing up here, and then come back down, and then someone else is like, did you see all the stuff up there? It's like I didn't see any of that while I was up there, and I have had that dream probably like once a month or more for like forever.
Interesting. How do you feel about aging?
Aging?
Yeah, like getting older.
Not good.
Because it feels like with aging, nobody really knows how old they're going to be, whereas you don't know how many floors there are in this building. And some people can describe to you what they've seen on certain floors of the building because they've been that age. Because I think it's maybe more metaphorical. And they're like, did you see that? And you're like, well, no, because you haven't been able to get to that floor. So, because you haven't been there yet.
Wild.
Does that kind of like feel good?
So it's kind of a metaphor for like lifespan or whatever, where I'm like nervous about the future?
Yeah.
Huh.
But apparently, people are telling you there's some really good stuff up there.
Some fucked up shit.
Yeah, I was going to say more like fucked up shit is what they're describing. Because
you're saying like as the floors go up more up and up and up, it gets more and more run down, which is true about aging. I mean, your body tends to deteriorate as it ages.
Because it starts off like it's like old, but it's fancy, where it's like a parlor and there's polished wood and stuff like that, and a cool staircase from like the 20s or whatever.
Yeah.
And then as you go up, it becomes more and more like the old barn lofts that I used to play in as a kid, where it's just like there's basically like not scaffold, but just like support 2x4s and
like we just put wood here to make it sturdy.
Yeah, and there's straw on the ground, and you can see little cracks of light through the wall and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's just, it gets more and more like that the further up you go.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. What do you think? You think it's kind of more aging? Because that's what I feel.
That's wild. Yeah, because that kind of does make sense for me. Damn. I had never put that together.
Yeah. If you need to pause, you can journal it.
That's a really good, like, if I was going to pick something for it to mean something, I was just like, who on earth could ever figure out what the hell that means? And then you were like, in like 4 minutes, you're like, oh yeah, you're thinking about aging. And I was like, Son of a bitch! You blew that sucker wide open.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know what your flatland thing means, though, Travis.
Can't win them all. It's okay.
I know. I was so hopeful. Okay, so that was pretty fast. So what about your other one?
I've got two other ones that are super distinct. This is one that, like any of my college friends that might listen to this podcast will recall me wandering around the fraternity telling everyone about, because it was just so fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, not fucked up, even like terrifying, but it's like, okay.
Oh, straight up to you.
In keeping with the theme of like going forever.
Yeah.
So it's me, my friend Nick, and my friend Eric Mush from the fraternity house. They're like two of my best friends. And we're wandering around the Mall of America, except this Mall of America seems to extend forever down and forever up, with just like layers of shops and offices and stuff like that. And we're just walking around it, and there's just people all over the place.
Right.
And we're just walking along, and Nick is just like, well, whatever you do, don't steal anything. And then I turn around, and Eric Mush's head is like animated. Like claymation animated almost.
Interesting.
The only thing I can think of is that, do you remember that part in Pee-wee's Big Adventure where he gets to the truck with the trucker that turns out to be a monster or whatever, and she turns and it goes all to claymation where her eyes get giant and like a serpent tongue.
Oh man, I need to see that again, but I have seen it, I just don't remember.
When I was a little kid, it freaked the shit out of me.
I bet.
It even like monitored because it looks so different than CGI, you know? So Eric Mush's head is huge. Like right now you can't see it, but I'm holding my arms out like at full length, like that big, like a cartoon character's, and it's like everything is pretty normal in size except for his eyes are super huge.
Yeah.
And he just goes, "I'm not a thief." And as he says thief, his pupils, or the color and black part of his eyes, go from like huge with the eyeball to super tiny as he's saying, "I'm not a thief." And then the rest of the dream, we're trying to find this office that I need for some reason. I don't remember why we needed it.
With bobble-haired Eric?
Well, no, he's running around like behind us and beside us and stuff like that, stealing stuff from people like when they're not looking. And so he's just like,
really? He's a thief.
Yeah, so he just said that, and then he starts just like stealing from everybody, and that's the dream.
Dang. So I wonder, does he, like, how do you feel about him? Like, you feel fine about him, right?
At the time, yeah.
Oh, what about now?
Last I'd heard, he wasn't doing so great. He's got a lot of like mental health problems and health problems, and he was one of the guys that got married like his senior year, and then they moved to the cities and they had a house and it was super nice and everything.
Right.
And he got a job being like an auditor for the Department of Defense.
Oh,
like
okay.
basically. It was always kind of like, at that point, almost resentful just because he was being so successful and really moving on in his life, and I was still the 20-something out of college with no job and no girlfriend or anything. And he'd just go over and hang out with his wife at his house with his like fancy new appliances and everything else. But shortly after I stopped communicating with him there in the cities, his life totally like melted down, where she divorced him and got everything, and then they said he wasn't cutting it at the Department of Defense, so they fired him, and then he couldn't get another accounting job, and so now I think he lives in like Pipestone, and he's on like disability, and he has all sorts of health problems.
Oh,
and
so sad.
Yeah, and he's my age, and it's just like, damn, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, God. So he's not a thief.
No.
It's just in the dream he's a thief.
Yeah.
But he's never like... I wonder if thief is a theme, though, for something else. Like, what else could thief mean to you? Like, how do you feel about it?
My only thing I can think of is that he had a reputation for not being super nice to women.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And maybe that was something to do with it. Like, I don't want to say, like, rapey, but kind of, like, very, doesn't take no, and is into like using tricks like I give him free alcohol and that and then like of crap like
manipulative and
super manipulative.
So
let me put it this way: we used to tell a joke in the fraternity about he'd set up a box with a bottle of like apple schnapps and the little like rope and like. You know, we always picture, like a cartoon character.
Oh, sure. So then you think of a thief, and, like, what do you think of when you think of a thief, besides just somebody who steals? I mean, because that's the obvious.
Just a criminal.
Criminal. So, would manipulative fall under that category, too?
Yeah, I guess that's probably where it's at.
So
the eye effect thing was always just, like, so crazy to me.
Yeah, it's almost like...
Because I super remember it, because I distinctly remember thinking, Jesus, his eyes are as big as paper plates.
Yeah. So I wonder, paper plates. Sorry,
There's not many things of that diameter, so that's a very specific
No, it's a very specific diameter.
It is.
Because you could say dinner plate, but how big is a dinner plate? Well, it
Perhaps
depends.
a bowling ball?
No,
A little bigger than that. Because
yeah.
it also, like I said, he seemed almost like cartoonish, and so he almost seemed flat.
I wonder
and
if
that's
he
part
just-
of why I say paper plate, is it was almost like he was South Park style, like cut out paper, and then it was
Yeah.
South Park style, like animated baby.
So do you think he was just very fake to you then?
It could be.
Because that's almost like, it just seems like he's just so comically fake, you know? And then he's just kind of a manipulative person, and he's like, I'm not a thief. But it's like, well, you kind of are manipulative, because, like, you like to manipulate, women to get your way or whatever. So maybe that's maybe more of what it is. But as far as, like, the mall, that just feels more like just life in general. Like, people are on lower levels or younger, or higher levels, older. And then everybody that you're on the same level with, it's like those are the people you're interacting with on, like, your current level of life, which is whatever age
Which
you
that
are.
makes sense, because it was all people my age.
Yeah.
Like my peers and stuff
Right.
that were all on that level with me, looking for whatever we were looking for.
Yeah, and then, like, you're not supposed to steal from anybody because you're not really not supposed to.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting part, is, like, the stealing, because it's like, well, what though? Like, what are the items, and, like, what was, like, being just like a generic mall, or just selling, like...
Yeah, he was, like, stealing, like, like something in a box, a display in a window.
Sure.
Like, just reaching around and grabbing something out of the display. Or, like, grabbing purses or stuff like that. Just, like cartoonishly, like, running around, like...
Swiper, no swiping.
Exactly, he was Swiper. Exactly. This guy gets it.
Yes. Yeah. That's kind of... I wonder if that was just that interaction of just, like, maybe, like, your subconscious calling out to you and just saying, like, this guy isn't all right, so maybe pay attention.
Maybe.
And then making you stand out to, like, really pay attention to him, so you're like, dang, he definitely stands out.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I guess that could be... that makes sense.
I mean...
And it's been so long since that dream,
Yeah.
I could be missing something, too.
Yeah, because, I mean, who knows what the circumstances were exactly at that time when you're having the dream, other than just the details now.
Because I don't even know that I knew him well enough for him to have that reputation yet.
Right.
With me, so who knows? But, so I've got one more dream I want to describe.
Sure.
This one's important because I turned it into a short story, and I won a bunch of writing awards at school,
that's
and it was
fantastic.
like... People, like, read it and were like, holy shit. And I had one person in town who read it who, like, was like, that kid's going to grow up to be the next Stephen King. And I was like, holy cow.
That's heavy.
Yeah, it was heavy. Okay, so it's like I wake up in the morning. I remember not seeing anyone or anything, but I just, like, your routine. I'm in high school at this point.
Okay.
So I just, throw on my clothes, do my morning routine, or, whatever. Get in my car, and I drive, and it's just like this out, where it's, like, snow is there's snow cover everywhere, but it's melted a little bit.
Yep.
And then it's overcast, so it's very gray. But it's enough that the roads are melted clear, so I'm driving my little Mustang at the time, and I'm not having any trouble with the road, because those have melted off.
Yes.
But I'm driving in... to Wessington, to our little school where I had a class of 9.
Aww.
And, but, it was a big school building that was rebuilt, like, in the 80s, because there had been a school fire, so it's a really nice, modern school facility at the time. And I pull up, the parking lot, or the street that we all park on, there wasn't really a parking lot.
True.
Totally empty. My car's, like, the only one there, other than, like, junker cars that I know just are, like, on certain corners of the street and stuff. Basically... It's just dead. I didn't meet anyone, and I start to realize that I didn't meet anyone on the road. I haven't seen a human being, like, since I started. And so, but the sidewalk is shoveled off, and it starts to just really lightly snow. And so then I walk up to the school. The windows are all just blacked over, like super black, and the doors are locked. I can't get in. And I'm like, okay. And it's just getting a little bit darker and a little bit more snow. And, yeah, I was just like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
So I get back in my car, and I'm trying to figure out, like, where is everyone? Because there's no one on Main Street. I mean, it's Wessington, so it's not totally weird, but I'm realizing that it's a little too quiet even for Wessington.
Right.
So it's getting like a Walking Dead when Rick wakes up thing where it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And so then I drive back, and the halfway point between my folks' farm and Wessington and my school was Grandpa Richard's house. So I pull off there, pull in. Same deal, but it's not locked. It's dark. There's no power. Like, I'm flipping the lights and stuff.
Yeah.
There's no sign of Grandma or Grandpa in the house. And, but it smells like that. It was a super vivid dream.
Yeah,
It was very real.
Yeah.
It smells like them and everything else. I pick up the phone receiver, because pre-cell phones, so I'm, like, going to see, like, where the hell is everyone?
Right.
And I pick it up, and it's dead. Which,
of course.
we're out but this is back in the day, we're out in a rural area with the copper lines. There, even when the power would go out because of a blizzard, the snow lines, the phones were fine.
That's true, yeah.
And because we didn't have digital phones.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, that's really weird. So then I remember watching the dream, like watching myself and being like, I'm way too calm for all of this.
Yeah.
And so then I go back out, I get in my car, and I start driving, like, to the farm. And I get to, so there's a tree strip that wraps around the back of the...
like your tree line.
Yeah, there's a tree line.
Yeah.
And, like several of them, so it basically boxes off the farmhouse so that they don't see into the field behind it.
Yeah.
So I'm driving along, but there's a big field behind Grandpa's house.
Sure.
And so I'm on the part of the road that's passing by that field behind the house, and I don't know why, but I just look out on the snowy field that's just completely level, and I don't remember if I just stop and then walk out there, or if there was a reason that I saw something or something like that.
Like what motivated you.
But yeah, I that's not clear what the motivation was. But I do get out of the car, and I walk way out into the middle of this field, and I start digging in the snow. And I find one of my little sister Katie's toys, like one of her, like, common ones that she plays with all the time.
Yeah. Was she still young at this point?
Yeah, at this point she would have been like...
So she would have been playing with a toy, regardless.
Yeah,
okay.
She would have been like not even 10, I don't think.
Yeah.
And we're talking like a wagon and a bike and stuff like that. Because as I keep digging in the snow and working my way out, I keep finding more and more of her stuff out in the snow, buried. And I'm just like, what's going on? And then I wake up.
Do you remember if you were having any sort of, like, how do I want to say this? Because I don't want to what I say next, I don't want it to influence your answer.
Okay.
So, like, did you fight at all, or have like an emotional, like, engagement with her of any kind?
No.
Where, like,
I got along with her really well.
Now if I ask your parents that, would they say the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because I was the peacemaker in the family,
Sure,
so
okay.
all the sisters loved me.
Yeah.
And whenever they were getting into some incredibly vicious fights, they always brought me in. And me and Katie have always had, like, even to this day, we kind of have a special bond, and we're pretty close for siblings. And,
Sure, okay. So I wonder, was there anything that had happened that, like, was there, like, some sort of, like, emotional fight or whatever in the house? Like, with between Katie and your sisters or parents, or nothing?
Nothing that I can remember, because I was looking for something like that.
Sure. Because usually, I literally just learned this, that water in any kind of form as it presents itself in a dream is a sign of an emotional thing, because water is tied with emotions. And So that's kind of what I think of when I think of snow. Because usually with my dreams, that's something emotional that I'm
Sure.
not dealing with. Like, that's what it is for me. But, like, how often do you dream of snow? Like, what do you think of, like, when you think of snow?
I think that's the only dream I've ever had with snow in it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you, like, okay, so do you think of, like, new beginnings? Or do you think of things dying? Like, what kind, like, where do you fall when you think of snow just in
It's
general?
just neutral.
Yeah? Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing like when it snows around Christmas time, you're like, yay, snow. Or you're just like, snow.
Well, yeah, I like it around Christmas.
Sure. Because, like, that's the only thing I can kind of think of is, like, what is your feelings on the season of winter? And then just the desolateness, though, like, the complete, like, loneliness of just the whole situation. Like, you're just totally and completely alone. And it's almost like you're, like, digging up your best friend's stuff, you know? And you're just like, what is this? You know, and, like, why? Like, you're just totally alone, and all you have left are just the memories of her, as you know, of her past or present, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm kind of thinking, but at the same time, it's like, well, if you don't feel a specific way about...
But yeah, I'd say, like,
Scene.
looking back on it now as someone older, I just like, there's a lot of isolation going on in that dream.
Yeah, you're just very alone. And, like, the place where you go to where there's people, like a school, like, that's shut off to you. And that's completely dark. There's no one there. And then the people that, you know, that are your family that you would go to be like, hey, there's something weird going on. They're not there. And you can't reach out to anybody else in the world. And then you just go out into the field and you start digging up your friend's stuff. Like, that's interesting.
So I wonder what it is that actually makes you wake up at that same moment every time.
Toys.
My hands are cold. I gotta get up.
Pick up your shit.
And it's really hard to tell if I'm projecting, because this was back when I was like 18.
Yeah.
And I wrote this, or 17, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was worried I was eventually going to find a body.
Yeah. I mean, you probably didn't write... Did you write that detail down in your story?
No.
But I mean...
I thought about it,
Yeah.
after the dream. I'm just kind of like... But I'm having trouble telling if I thought that at the time.
Right.
But right now, looking back, I'm just like, I would have... Maybe I've watched too many horror movies since then, but now I'm like, this is the part where you find the body, you know?
Right. And you're probably waking yourself up because you don't want to see that
Yeah.
in your dream. I mean, what a horrible thing to say out loud. Like, hey, Mom, I had this weird dream about my sister dying, you know?
It's like this. It's that Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode where it's like, "Good morning, Bart." It's like, "How did you sleep?" It's like, "I had a fire, or I dreamed of a vision of my own fiery death." Well, that's nice, honey. Grab your dinner or grab your lunch and let's go to school.
There was this...
You're gonna miss the bus.
There was one morning I had a similar situation. I woke up one morning and my mom goes, "Oh, I had a dream about you last night." And I go, "Oh, I had a dream about you last night." And she goes, and I'm like, so I asked her, I'm like, "Well, what happened in your dream?" And she's like, "Oh, you and I were fighting." And she's like, well, then my mom asks me, "Well, what happened to me in your dream?" And I go, "Oh, you died." It was just like, it killed
You're like,
it.
I won.
You died. And she was just like, "Oh." We're just like, oh my God, that was awful. What a terrible thing to tell your mom. Like, yeah, because we fought a lot when I was a teenager. So yeah, but you know, dreams are weird
Teenagers.
like that. You never know. You just never know. So yeah.
So how do you feel, Travis? Did you go into this skeptical, and do you now feel like maybe there's more to dream interpretation than it just being, you know, TV, the brain equivalent of TV static?
I think anytime there's things to interpret, that it could mean something completely different at different times of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, like, however you interpret it right now, I believe that you interpret it that way because it has meaning in your current life where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So you interpret it like a piece of art.
Yeah. And so 2 years from now, you'll look back at it and it might mean something else, and you might not even be concerned with the same situation. You may be more concerned of why you've made it all the way to school and realized, hey, I haven't seen anybody. That could be the key part, and then that you'll find an interpretation there.
Yeah.
So I'm super intrigued by all this interpretation stuff because that's where a lot of like the creativity for most of my presentations and stuff in my shows come from.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely looking forward to this chapter of the show.
Good word, chapter.
Very nice. I see what we did there.
Yeah, I see what you did there. That's awesome. So yeah. Well, sorry, I couldn't understand your...
Not a lot of people can understand me anyway.
Well, I feel like I would need to get to know you better to like fully grasp this whole abstract dream.
Yeah.
So I've never heard an abstract dream before. But it doesn't mean that they can't happen.
I have abstract dreams.
Yeah.
And see, the crazy thing is, because I've heard that, like, black and white and colored dreams can mean something different.
Yep.
But even though there's only black and white in it, it felt color. Like, it felt vivid enough that it was a colored thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of weird.
Maybe read Flatland, and maybe that'll give you some answers.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just trying to be helpful. In a weird way.
I dig it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Just to be weird.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. That's all I got.
So thank you for joining us here on Macabre Grimoire, and join us next week when we'll explore some other strange
Maybe
things.
ghosts. We don't know.
You know what I think they should do?
Maybe ghosts, maybe
if they made
dreams.
it this far into this chapter of the podcast, I think that they should message us their dreams and that you can interpret them.
That'd be awesome. I'd love
That's
to do that.
perfect. That's
love
what
to
we.
do that.
That's how we should have closed.
Yeah.
That is exactly how we just closed.
Nice. Be sure to support us on Patreon. Thank you so much for listening, and good night.
Macabre Grimoire is a production of theSueEmpire.com. Learn more at macabregrimoire.com.
Last night